Blizzard stopping us, we working.
In preparation for his huge clash against Canelo Alvarez this year, Terence Crawford has resumed training far earlier than many had thought. But more than just the timing, Crawford seems to be going way beyond his limits to fight Canelo Alvarez. It's his craziest training video ever. It's more than the weightlifting and neck exercises. Crawford is adding more weight and skill to make himself the third man to beat Canelo Alvarez in boxing. The recent training video of Crawford confirmed Turki Alakşık's announcement that Crawford had some injury and would resume training in no time. Fans have been really impressed with his incredible shape ahead of the fight. Terence Crawford is a well-known name in the boxing world for his exceptional skills and unbeaten record, and he stands as a testament to the power of dedicated training and strategic physical conditioning.
Good round, good round.
But behind his huge success are insane training secrets and rigorous regimen that shapes him into one of the best boxers of all time. Central to Crawford's training for Canelo's fight is a diverse blend of activities designed to hone his boxing prowess and maintain physical peak conditions. What's known about and what's seen from Terence Crawford as a boxer is spectacular. One of only 3 active double undisputed world champions. The ability to jab and throw power punches with both hands.
Deep breath. Keep doing what you're doing. Just using that jab good. Using that jab good. Starting to
41 fights, 41 victories, 31 knockouts, and a hellacious, nasty streak that fuels his eagerness to finish wounded opponents. As he has transformed to his late 30s, Crawford, 36, has opted to ensure he's performing at his athletic peak, so he's aligned for the past 3 fights with expert conditioning and supplement guru Victor Conte to take his preparation to the next level. As Crawford now moves up in weight for his fight against Canelo later this year, his fitness and conditioning capacity are essential elements he'll lean heavily upon in seeking to further his legacy. From what Conte reports, the results are sublime. Since I've been working with Terence, and this is the 4th fight, from the data and blood data we've collected, this is the best shape we've ever seen him, Conte said. I would classify it as superhuman. While maintaining contact with Conte, Crawford trains in the rarefied elevation of Colorado Springs, Colorado, at 6,700 feet above sea level. The impact of that training is seen basically in the superb fitness Crawford has long shown in defeating champions, including Errol Spence Jr., Sean Porter, Kell Brook, and more.
Essentially,
well, yeah, the fighters that I work with, I do not encourage them to do any road work. If they do, I try to keep it down to once a week.
Coming back to sea level alters an athlete's system, making some fitness readings haywire and confused, Conte says, so they've worked this week to restore the levels that were seen in Colorado. You hit the rebound and your figures and performance climb back up to 8, 9, 10, 11. All the benefits of him training in Colorado Springs to getting the peak performance. It's all been timed perfectly, Conte said. He's going to get the maximum benefit. Upon Crawford's time in Los Angeles, Conte said, Crawford's equipped with something called an oxy mask that allows him to achieve what Conte calls super-oxygenation. It's best to let Conte explain this scientific process. So you breathe 20.9% oxygen when you're breathing at sea level. Terence is breathing, through an open design mask, 68% oxygen, Conte said.
In under 3 miles. And the reason is you're developing slow twitch muscle fiber when you do tempo type long distance road work. So
what happens is your red blood cells have hemoglobin, which are like seats on a bus. You fill those up and that transports nutrients and oxygen to your muscle tissue. Your blood is 55% plasma or liquid and 45% red blood cells. So when you fill up all the seats with oxygen on the red blood cells, it spills onto the plasma and liquid portion. That's called super-oxygenation. So if you ask, Where do you take him to get him higher than sea level for recovery? Well, you do it with equipment. Conte has diligently worked to resurrect his career from the depths of a federal law enforcement raid 21 years ago on his infamous Balco facility in the Bay Area that designed steroids and counted a litany of athletic greats, including Olympic sprinters Marion Jones and Tim Montgomery, boxing champion Shane Mosley, baseball's home run king Barry Bonds, and others as clients.
Genetically, there's obvious variation, but you're about 50% slow, 50% fast. The type of training that you do can make you 80% faster.
Since serving 4 months in a minimum security federal prison, Conte has emerged turning over a new leaf with a new line of legal conditioning, sleep aid, and recovery supplements under his new wildly successful company, SNAC, with connections to several former, current, or recent boxing champions like Devin Haney, Demetrius Andrade, and Claressa Shields. Through super-oxygenation, Conte says Crawford has got the most powerful oxygen-concentrated makeup possible up in his hotel room. The Oxy mask is equipped with a diffuser, Conte explains, that takes the richer oxygen and injects it up his nostril and in his mouth. You take in 68% oxygen and exhale out the metabolic waste products, lactic acid, ammonia, carbon dioxide. What we do is flush his system of these waste products. Crawford addressed his superb fitness, saying, "I feel I'll be stronger. I'll be energized. I won't have to lose the extra 7 pounds, so it's going to be less stress on my body." Crawford said, "I'm ready. I'm going to be feeling great. I'm good right now." The astounding effects of Crawford's preparation have been seen in blood testing and active sensors of Crawford markers on his heart rate, blood flow rate, breath frequency, hydration, and blood oxygen saturation. Crawford's heart rate is 1/3 slower than the average person, and his breath rate while resting is incredibly impressive. "What I like is how calm he is. Never seen him so relaxed," Conte said. "When he comes back between rounds, his heart rate is going to drop very quickly. Each round he goes back out, he's fresh. He's a very scientifically prepared boxer." The key is in the training and the recovery, and you've got to allow adequate recovery time. That all comes from these gauges. We're bringing science to it. This is not old school boxing. Crawford's weight cut for the fight's weigh-in will be simple, Conte assured. "It's like landing a 747, perfectly easiest cut he's ever made. This is what science does. We will land perfectly on that scale," Conte said. Terence may be the most scientifically prepared boxer in the history of the sport. The expertise will be imperative should Crawford conclude the attention to preparation by impressively defeating Canelo, raising the likelihood of an amazing retirement. Conte says Crawford can get to 168 pounds in 3 months.
Moving that jab up and down. And then when you go downstairs, take that downstairs, come up with the left hook. It's going to be open.
They would need 3 months to promote the fight, so there's plenty of time to do it, Conte said. He has a team of very smart people around him to increase the calories and all that. You can develop type 2B fast twitch muscle fiber. That's where explosive power and speed come from, not from tempo running distance. It's from sprint interval training and weightlifting. That's his plan, Canelo, but this is the total focus now, Conte said. You don't talk about step B until you've conquered step A. Trust me, Terence is the boss. He gives me the ability to proceed. He's a very bright guy who understands how things work, and he's all in. He's been great to work with because he listens, he gets it, he's smart. But aside from his trainers, 3-weight world champion and Hall of Fame inductee James Toney wants to get involved.
With Crawford's recent win, he's been asking for Canelo. He'll beat Canelo.
Speaking to Mill City Boxing, the 92-fight veteran who, like Canelo currently, was never beaten by stoppage, said he could teach Crawford to get the knockout. It would be huge. If that fight happens, I would go back into camp with Crawford and show him how to do it for real. I love Bo Mac, but if he can't help him, I'll make sure it gets done. That head will be cooked, fish fried, hot ribs. Canelo can be knocked out. He ain't all that. He's not James Toney. He's not in my damn league. He can't hold my bag. Toney has had plenty to say about Alvarez in the past, dismissing comparisons to his own super middleweight success.
He could potentially just...
Same thing.
Same ending?
Same thing. Trust me. Trust me.
Crawford, however, is in no doubt of the challenge that would face him, but wants to push ahead to cement an already stellar legacy. Former unified welterweight champion Keith Thurman has shed some light on the matter, giving a possible explanation behind the Guadalajara native avoiding the much-vaunted fight. During an interview with Fight Hype TV, Thurman recalled an anecdote from a few years ago where Canelo made a revelation regarding the Bud Crawford fight. The 31 boxer stated, "I remember Canelo talking about not wanting to fight Crawford because it just reminded him of fighting Amir Khan."
Talking about Crawford, Crawford's been calling out Canelo, and Canelo now is being rumored to be chasing Beterbiev. So I guess my question for you is, do you think
Canelo Alvarez fought the former unified light welterweight champion Amir Khan back in May 2016 to defend his World Boxing Council middleweight title. Khan, a welterweight at the time, like Terence Crawford, had moved up 2 weight divisions to fight Canelo in a middleweight bout. Thurman further stated that like the Amir Khan fight, the 62 and 2-2 boxer has nothing to gain from facing Crawford. Fighting the smaller guy, nothing to really gain. And if he wins, they're just, there's nothing to really say, said Thurman.
Canelo should chase glory at 175, become undisputed, and take that route, or give this fight to Bud, the smaller man, which could be a bigger fight?
While Canelo Alvarez completely dominated Amir Khan and brutally knocked out the latter in the 6th round, the aftermath was ugly. Fans and critics accused Canelo of cherry-picking easy fights. Even before the fight, many fans and critics had termed this fight as a mismatch because of the weight difference between them. While Keith Thurman understood the confidence and desperation behind Terence Crawford's demand, he asserted that Canelo wouldn't accept the fight. When you have a legacy like that, it's he gets to choose what he wants to do with his legacy, explained Thurman.
On paper, what route do you think he should go?
Nah, man. I mean, when we talk Canelo, you're talking about like the Mexican king, So when you talk Canelo...
According to him, Canelo Alvarez feels the same about facing Terence Crawford. So much so that he has previously taken digs at Crawford and has advised him to stay at 147 pounds. However, Thurman's argument doesn't exactly hold water, as Crawford had already spoken on the weight disparity issue during the lead-up to the Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight in September. Speaking on the issue on Sean Porter's The Porter Way podcast, Bud had stated, "Canelo has been making his own catch weight for years. Canelo fought a smaller Mayweather. Canelo fought a smaller Amir Khan, Jermell Charlo." Adding, if he were an easy fight due to the lower weight, why would Canelo need to demand $150 million for the fight?
And when you talk about kings in the division, kings do what kings do, So whatever he wants to do, man, that's how it is. His last fight.
Terming Canelo's argument as an excuse, Crawford asserted, "I'm a threat to his legacy." Well, we have seen this sport enough to know that never say never, but at this moment, the chances of Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez happening look pretty slim. With Bob Arum already pushing for Beterbiev to face Canelo, who Canelo gives a shot next year remains to be seen.
That's just what you're going to see out of Canelo. But the beauty is, we get such a beautiful skill set of boxing, poise.
On the other hand, Leonard Ellerbe directs a great path for Canelo Alvarez. The CEO of Mayweather Promotions asserts that a potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez has more allure than a clash with Terence Crawford. Even though Crawford has expressed his ambition to face Canelo Alvarez, Ellerbe believes Benavidez is a much better option. According to Ellerbe, the prospect of Canelo stepping into the ring with Benavidez is deemed a much bigger matchup. Well, this comes after Alvarez teased a major announcement regarding his fight recently. Ellerbe had his reasons for making such a claim.
This talk of him and Terence Crawford now. Crawford calling him out, saying he'll go to 68. I really don't want to comment too much on that. I mean,
According to Leonard Ellerbe, the anticipated clash between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez will generate more excitement and interest within the boxing community. Many fans believe Benavidez could be the one to challenge and potentially dethrone Canelo from his super middleweight throne. And their story has been relevant for quite some time now, because Benavidez has been calling out Alvarez even before his fight against Caleb Plant. Before Terence Crawford's undisputed World Welterweight Championship victory, not a lot of people talked about the prospect of him going against Alvarez. Well, the mystery will be solved after Alvarez announces the Mexican TV Box Azteca on February 15th at noon.
you know, Terence is a terrific fighter. He's pound for pound. You know.
He'll be addressing the future course of his career, and fans hope it's the fight against David Benavidez. However, the report suggests something entirely different. Reports indicate that Canelo Alvarez is set to face Jermall Charlo next. It will be held on a grand stage, and a highly anticipated undisputed super middleweight title fight will be scheduled for May 4 in Las Vegas. The announcement adds to the intrigue surrounding the Cinco de Mayo weekend fight tradition associated with Canelo. Fans have eagerly speculated about the opponent Canelo would choose for this significant matchup.
Crawford wants to do. Hey, I mean, he knows what he's aspiring to do, what he wants to do in his career. Hope he gets to fight. It's not just that easy to say that you want to fight.
Various names, including Terence Crawford, David Benavidez, and William Skull, were linked to the potential showdown. However, recent reports from the ring suggest that Jermall Charlo is slated to be Canelo's opponent in the highly anticipated bout scheduled for May. Jermall will be seeking redemption for his twin brother Jermell Charlo's prior defeat to Canelo. Ellerbe was then asked if Canelo fighting Crawford sells more than him fighting Benavidez. He responded, "No! I know the numbers. I know the business. No, it's not bigger. It has nothing to do with whether or not somebody deserves the fight or whether they should fight. We're just talking about the business. The Benavidez versus Canelo fight and Crawford versus Canelo, it's no comparison."
Canelo, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't happen like that. And I don't have nothing to do with any of that, but I'm just saying that. But if that's what he wants to do, I support it.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the sport. I mean, he's proven that. But it has nothing to do with the business, and you gotta know what that means. For an example, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, two tremendous fighters. Everybody knows Errol's my guy. But the biggest fight in boxing all along was Tank and Ryan. Their fight, Spence versus Crawford, was the most talked about fight in the last 6 or 7 years. Two young, undefeated guys in their prime. He, however, continued, but the business said something else. That fight did half of what Tank's fight did, and their fight did very well. But again, you just gotta understand how this works, and when you have the kind of experience that we've had, understanding what these marketplaces look like, and piracy, and all the factors that are involved with the success of a PPV event, it just comes down to knowing what you're doing and what you're not doing.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm not one of them people that says that, oh, he's in over his head kind of thing. I would never say that. He's a terrific.
See, we're not in a situation over here where we're burning money. You have one promoter in particular who don't give a fuck. It's like it don't matter. But we try to make smart, conscientious decisions. Sometimes you make fights people don't agree with. But again, there's always a plan, a method to the madness, and there's a long-term plan. I'm excited for this card to kick off for Amazon Prime. This will be a tremendous card full of great fights. No, this is not the all-star team per se, but these are some very good fights, and we think there's going to be a tremendous response to the support.
Fighter.
What would Leonard Ellerbe, the boxing fan and the boxing mind, the man who's made so much money in this business, what would he rather?
Talking about who he'd favor to win between Canelo and Crawford, Leonard Ellerbe replied, "I haven't really thought about that. But if you ask me the business of which fight is bigger, the Benavidez fight is bigger. It's a much bigger fight." Regardless, speaking to Marcos Villegas from Fight Hub TV, Sean Porter commented on Crawford climbing 2 divisions and the power difference that exists between the boxers fighting in 2 different weight classes. I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds, Porter confessed.
Of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later.
However, Porter had an interesting analysis, suggesting Canelo would eventually slow down as he had done in most of his recent fights. So, it led Porter to believe Canelo would start the fight on the front foot and bang on Crawford and break him down before the late rounds when he won't have the energy while Crawford would. Even so, Sean Porter didn't seem convinced that he had the answer to who would emerge victorious, claiming, "But there's so many components that make a champion. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all the components that Terence Crawford has."
And he still got that kind of steam, but there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just
Sean Porter, who was stopped by Crawford in the 10th round of their 147 title bout, disagrees that Canelo Alvarez has the advantage here. He told Fight Hype that his former opponent has many advantages against an aging Canelo. "You have to get your mind out of the space of who's stronger. Boxing ain't just about strength. Who's smarter? Who's more athletic? Who's faster? Who's got more stamina? Who's got more experience?" The list goes on. You add all that up and you think, wow, a lot is actually on Terence's side.
There's so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo has.
I actually think that fight would be really interesting. I think that Canelo is not who he was 3-4 years ago. I wouldn't say he's declining fast, but his career is definitely not doing this going up, and it hasn't done this stayed level in 2 or 3 years. It ain't a fast decline, but Canelo's certainly not who he used to be. A fight between them would be interesting and definitely competitive.
Definitely not doing this. And it hasn't done this in 2 or 3 years. So obviously it ain't a fast decline, but Canelo's certainly just not who he used to be. Terence Crawford, you imagine he's probably training at 160, which means his body's not foreign to being as high as 165.
Porter might not be sure if Bud could pull off the win, but Crawford's other former opponent does. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.